everyone, today I want to talk about how to recover from a binge, 5 do's and don'ts. And the reason I thought about this topic is I actually had a little mini binge the other day, and this is so rare for me. I used to do it all the time, and now it's like so rare. I thought, I'm gonna see what I can learn from this and do a little video on that. So the first tip is don't beat yourself up. Okay, when we beat ourselves up, 3 things happen. First of all, we start thinking, I'm never gonna get over this anyway. I'm so terrible. I'm such a lousy person with no self-control. Why bother, right? That's the first thing that happens. Second thing that happens when we beat ourselves up is we get depressed. And if you're an emotional eater and you get depressed, what do? We eat, right? And the third thing that happens when we beat ourselves up is we're totally self-focused. So we're not going to others for help. We're not like checking in with an accountability partner, and we're not going to God for help. And so if we stop beating ourselves up, that will be the first step that will help us. The second don't is don't assume that you gained a bunch of weight, because here's what happens. If we binge the next morning, our weight's probably going to go up. Like it might go up as much as 3 or 4 pounds, and we'll think, oh, I can't believe I gained that much weight in one night. But here's the truth. Most of that weight is water weight, okay? It takes 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound. So if that's 3,500 above what your body needs to sustain yourself. So let's say you need 2,000 calories to sustain yourself. That means you would have had to have 5,500 calories in one day, even to gain 1 pound. Okay, most of us don't eat that much, or if we do, that's all we eat. So that's still only 1 pound. It's not 3 or 4 pounds. So don't assume it's just, it's not that big of a deal weight-wise, one night's binge. Okay, the third don't is don't restrict your calories, and don't don't starve yourself, right? Because sometimes if you're a person who's like, oh, I'm just gonna get it done, I'm gonna get in control of life, you might think, I'm just gonna have a hard anything to eat the next day. And what that happens is it sets you up for overeating again, because you're gonna be so hungry. Instead, just go back to your regular boundaries. Eat exactly what you're supposed to eat that day. Don't worry about the previous day, and you'll be less likely to overeat that night again. Okay, the next tip is don't purge and don't exercise too much. Okay, both of those are punishing behaviors. Both of those behaviors are saying, you're such a terrible person, you have to do all this to make up for it. And we don't want to cater to that, right? Because in some ways that's weight focused, and weight focus isn't going to help us. We need to learn to accept our bodies as is. So don't do that either. Okay, the fifth don't is don't think this is the end of the world. It's just a little glitch, right? Anytime we set out to do a project, it's a step-by-step process. And this is something we're not naturally good at, right? We're not naturally good at self-control in the area of food. We love to eat. We eat for emotional reasons. So, of course, it's going to take a while to get over this. So just consider this one step in the process. Okay, now let's get to those do's. Okay, the first do is do look back to see if there's anything different you could do next time. Okay, so for me, the reason I had that little mini binge is we're in a really stressful time of our life right now. We're trying to find a new job assignment. My husband's a physical therapist that does travel work, and we're wanting to be up here in New England, and there's just no rentals available. So it's kind of a stressful time of life, and my work wasn't going well. And so that day when I was all emotional, I went to the local Italian grocery store and got a cream-filled cannoli and a loaf of bread. And I did a little short video on how to stop binging on bread, and I didn't follow any of my advice. So if I look back to things I could do differently, I could say, okay, well, be really careful on the days when you're feeling emotional, what you allow into your house and what kind of temptation you put in your way, because you're gonna be far more likely to overeat on those days. Okay, tip number 2 is do visit with God about it. I can't tell you how many times I visit with God and he gives me some sort of idea. So when you visit with God, pour out your sorrow to him. You say, oh, I can't believe I did that. If you feel like, it's not a sin to overeat. It's not a sin to have 3 donuts, right? But I think it could be a sin, like if I'm just totally going to food for help with life and not God for help with life, I'm kind of putting food in that God position. So, if you need to confess anything, confess. But God, He's a gracious God. He's loving. He's willing to forgive. So confess knowing that. But then ask Him for help too. Ask Him for help to go on, and know that He is a person who loves you, does not condemn you. In fact, he's been tempted with everything we've been tempted with, right? It talks about that in Hebrews. Jesus has been tempted with everything we've been tempted with. So I'm guessing he was even tempted to binge. I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch, but I'm guessing not. Okay, number 3, do spend extra time renewing your mind. And this is something I talk about. It's the way I broke free from the control of food. I renewed my mind. Every time I broke my boundaries, I might have even renewed my mind every time I felt like it. Towards the end, there's lots of questions in my I Deserve a Donut book you could renew your mind with. The first one that comes to mind is the failure questions. That will help you the next morning after a binge. Another one is the tired of the struggle questions, because of course you're going to be tired of the struggle after a binge, because you're going to feel like you'll never get over it. And also in my book, The Renewing of the Mind Project, the disappointment questions will help with renewing your mind. Or you can truth journal. There's so many things you can do, and you can go to my website, barbravling.com. You'll find all kinds of resources. And I would renew my mind, maybe a couple times during the day. So in the morning, you could actually do a weight loss Bible study, and a couple times during the day, because the day after a binge, that's when you're going to be really in temptation to do it again, because you're going to feel like a failure. Okay, number 4 in the do's column is do focus on holding both food and weight loss with open hands. Okay, we want to be content with our body as is. When we feel like we have to be skinny, that actually sends us into eating more, because we're like so depressed that we're not losing the weight. It just makes us want to eat more. So hold skinny with open hands. Learn to be content with your body as is. We don't have to be skinny, right? But also hold food with open hands. When we're saying, I have to have all these yummy treats, the food that sends us into a binge, then it can keep sending us into a binge. So maybe those kinds of foods, if you can keep them out of your house, or somehow avoid the temptation. Like if I hadn't bought that loaf of incredible bakery bread the other day and just stuck with the cannoli, I went to have my little mini binge. And by mini binge, I would guess about 6 pieces of bread and my one incredible cannoli. Now, don't get tempted to eat cannolis if you're listening to us. I'll stop the cannoli talk. Okay, and the last do is to be thankful for where you're at right now. Be thankful for all God's done. Be thankful for how He's helped you grow in the area of following your food boundaries. If you think of it over a longer period of time rather than just yesterday. And maybe you're not that. Maybe you're not at that stage yet where you've experienced some success. So then be thankful for the tools you have available. Thank God that you have all these tools available to renew your mind with. Thank Him for what He's going to do in your life, how He's going to help you with this. Trust in the process. Back when I was breaking free from the control of food, and this was, long time ago, I thought I'd never get over it. And even when I renew my mind, I thought I'll never get over this. But I just kept faithfully renewing my mind, and I did get over it. Yesterday was a tiny little glitch. It didn't make me beat myself up. It didn't make me worry. It didn't make me go into obsession land. And I didn't even have to renew my mind, because I've had so much truth in my system on this that it didn't make me keep eating. But back in the old days, I would have had to renew my mind a lot, because it would have set me up for disaster. And also in that thankful department, thank God for other areas of your life. Thank God for all the unique ways He created you, for the different person you are, your interests, your capabilities. And thank God for the people He's put in your life. And thank God for who He is overall, and who He is in this situation. So I hope these 5 do's and don'ts help you. I would encourage you to renew your mind. If you're watching this video the morning after a binge, go to my website or pick up a couple of those books and start renewing your mind. And I will talk to you again another time.